With John Jeckovich, it's the first day of summer, June 21st, 2024, and we're going to read the book. It's called My Mother's Son Their Mother's Son by John Jeckovich. But in the meantime, before we start reading the book, we're going to watch Mr. Jeckovich glance through some of the planes that were crafted during World War II. So we'll just sit here and watch. If he's got a comment, he'll say something. And what was your dog tag number, sir?
Say again?
Your dog tag number? Your dog tag number.
420965.
Okay. If you have any comments, we're just going to video you.
No. What chapter you are?
Anything in the book, we want to hear what you're looking at right here. Anything that looks familiar to you. Just take your time and glance through it.
What? This book?
Yeah, we got to glance through it. I want to hear your comments on it.
Huh?
We want
That
to hear,
book?
Yeah, glance through it. We want to hear your comments on some of the planes in that book. You're an expert on it. We want to hear you. Take the book back, and if you see something, speak about it. If you don't, we'll just sit here and watch you look at the book.
Well, these are airplanes, Dave.
Yeah, well, most of them were used during the war. Well, just take your time. And if you have any comments, comment. If not, just look at the book and put it down, and I'll start reading whenever you're ready.
George Ellis. Family aircraft.
You want to go down and check his mail?
Yeah, I will.
Maybe that wooden one here is here. I opened that bag and
I'll say something next time.
bring something because it's like they're all dirty. I was looking for spots actually. Maybe they didn't do them, they just put them back?
No, they did them.
Check his mail while he's reading this book.
Let me just get wide enough in case. What do you see, John?
What?
What are you sighing about?
I'm not saying.
Hello. Have a nice day now.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah, those real small planes then.
Are they going to get another person to help you guys in the front desk?
Yeah.
It would be a lot.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I already told her how I felt.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys are kind of shy on help as it is.
Yeah, we're still missing a line.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing, Dave?
Just watching you look at the book. If you have any comments, say it. If not, just keep looking.
Butch, huh? Butch. Yeah, carrier decks.
That must take a precision pilot to land on those carrier jets.
Huh?
That might take a very accomplished and experienced pilot to land on the decks of an aircraft carrier.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have much wiggle room there, and especially taking off. I see the times where the plane didn't come onto the carrier just correctly, and they just pushed it over the side.
Huh. AF-25 killers. They're AF-25 killers, Dave.
You remember that plane?
I don't remember these planes, no, Dave. I've never seen these airplanes before. Yeah, look at this. Yeah. U.S. Air Force. FB-47, huh? They had to dump the rest of the fuel in their plane before they make a land.
Unbelievable.
Launch. Super, huh? To the moon and back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mail call. Mail call. What was it?
VA.
That wooden one, ever, did you mention to the post office about that wooden one?
No, we have to call it to other people.
What?
We gotta call that magazine up.
Yeah, the United States Army. The United States Army. What the hell is this one now? Oh yeah, well that's what Jennifer put the claim in. Yeah, here. Yeah, I got this letter before. Yeah.
Let me look at it. Hand it over here. I'll read it to you.
Yeah, here.
Let me read it.
You put that claim in on your own.
Let me read it to you.
Passing information or improper claim submission. Here, give that to David. Here, put that in an envelope. Yeah.
Well, you did go from 755.
Huh?
That's not even this. This is an ambulance thing.
You put that claim in on your own.
Well, trying to save you money.
Huh?
Trying to save you money. Otherwise, they'd want you to pay for it. So this is not a bill.
Huh?
This is not a bill.
No, it's not a bill. No. Just tell me what's going on with that claim. Improper claim submission.
Not on our part. Their
Huh?
part. Not on our part, on the part of St. John's Board of County Commissioners.
Shit.
You want to finish that book?
Who?
You want to finish that book?
I'm just done looking at
You
it.
done with that
Yeah. Submission, submission.
Okay, here we go again. June 21st, 2024 with John Jeckovich. We're reading his book, Their Mother's Sons. We're on chapter 2, page 12. And the chapter is entitled Books, Girls, and Police.
Look, girls and police.
Yep. Frequent visits to the public library were a means of obtaining books that I could not afford to purchase. I did not display these books in a prominent place at home, as mother would admonish me for wasting time reading all the time. Instead of doing something useful around the house, I enjoyed reading not only for an intricate value, but it also afforded me an avenue not always fruitful in obtaining answers to questions. I was looking for answers. Reading gave me that opportunity. Some of the books were alleviated some of the anxiety of not knowing, and which caused no end of delight and pleasure, were numerous and varied. What must be kept in mind is that these books were writings that greatly influenced me at the stage of my development, 12 to 17 years old, acted also as a precursor to the advent of the Second World War. Much of what authors spoke about I experienced in a small way. Through Tolstoy's War and Peace, I was grateful to receive insight into my reality at home. Although the characters' plots and subplots were at times complex and demanding, I could perceive much of what I read, as I had no one person I could relate to my situation. Tolstoy's unraveling of his characters afforded me an avenue of transference. I read its entirety that summer before I left for the military service. Some of the books were alleviated through in an outline of the history of H.G. Wells. I became acutely aware of the single most important factor. History must be studied on an individual level, and not as a complicated mass of dates, names, and places. Rather, you must feel a part of it as a realistic attack on human problems. In the influence of books, Thomas Carlyle, the great historian, essayist, summed it up to me what it stated. In books lies the soul of the past, when the body and the material substance of it has altogether vanished like a dream. George Bernard Shaw stated, it's a rather oblique manner, inner improvement of a man to himself. He felt that we must live our lives as real people with faults and imperfections, rather than raising the man-made hopes in the clouds of romantic happiness and passions. As such, they would remain with our control, germinating into what is real and which will happen, not in what could happen.
What?
I'm still reading. I do not understand the harshness of my early life, nor do I dwell on it. It took as a matter of course. It was not until later in life I fully understood the implications of it, and how it would affect the rest of my life. I was greatly perplexed that both of my brothers, one older and one younger, would display the same type of detachment. They would just have different avenues of displaying it and were diametrically opposite of one another. One would be vibrant and carefree, the other moody and subjective. Why my parents would argue and progress to a violent stage, they would both regress and withdraw from the environment as such. But in their withdrawal was a mechanism for differences in their personalities. Lucky was irritating at best and downright exasperating at worst. There were no conversations between us, since his veneer of naughtiness would constantly get in the way. He was most of the time aloof and aware of much was transpiring at home. Although Lucky attitude left much to be desired, I did not remark on it, nor did I make a judgment about it. Firstly, it would be of no avail to approach him about it, and secondly, it was just another tirade in a host of tirades. He was doing poorly in school and missing a considerable amount of days from school. The principal informed Mother on several visits to the school regarding this matter, absenteeism, and that they was on the verge of being expelled. After the second adventure in running away from home, in which Mother had to travel several hundred miles to retrieve him, he became more belligerent. He was drinking heavily and returning home late at night in an intoxicated state on numerous occasions. At these times, he would resort to throwing up all over, and it fell upon me to clean up his mess. Mother would berate me for not cleaning it up in a more expeditious manner, stating, "Your father will give it to you for leaving the mess all over." Steve never participated in any of these cleanup details. It was not expected of him. I do not ever recall my father confronting Lucky regarding these episodes. Strangely, my father would converse more with Lucky than he would with me. They were not lengthy, drawn-out conversations, but little tidbits here and there. Even though I accompanied my father on all his secondary jobs, I never attained the level of conversation with Lucky achieved on a lesser plane, and Steve on a much greater plane. My first awareness of girls probably manifested itself in the third grade. Ruth Bazzelli was a plain, ordinary girl, as girls go into the fourth grade. We struck up a common understanding of our similar likes and dislikes in the books we were reading. We would discuss various authors as much as two kids, 9 to 10, could. I would walk her home from school on occasion and manifest itself into. I'd walk her home to school on occasions, which was the opposite direction of my home. I never met her parents, nor did she mine. We did not have a child-friend relationship that so many parents and their children have today. That is to say, bringing your school friend home, meeting the family, generally spending a good deal of time with each other's family. I recall giving Ruth made-up Thanksgiving card for Thanksgiving and a lace handkerchief wrapped in tissue paper with a red bow for Christmas. My parents were unaware of Ruth's existence, and I never discussed Ruth with them. Ruth would give me a round cardboard bottle caps for the tops of the glass milk container, as her parents had a dairy, and she would obtain rejects that were discarded from the milk bottling machine. I used them as sliding wafers and Game Boys played, and a game boys played in the neighborhood. Right after Christmas, my parents moved once again, and I never seen Ruth again. Oh boy. Oh. Minutes?
3.
It was not until I got into the 6th and 7th grade that I particularly noticed the full anatomy of girls in general. Then I became to notice especially well-developed legs and trimmed ankles. These were displayed and amplified in Elfrida, the girl sat next to me. During my 8th grade tenure, I became greatly infatuated with one girl in particular, Irene. Her two constant companions, Leota and Wanda, were a continuous source of irritation in trying to develop our friendship. Irene, Leota, and Wanda were inseparable in school as well as outside of school. They did not share my misfortune of not extending the social capabilities in the classroom in a wider social setting. They would go roller skating and ice skating in the winter and partake in social functions the school presented, such as football and basketball games. They also went to each other's homes to do their homework or just to socialize. My occasion with Irene was curiosity of nature. We would talk about the various subjects in school. On the several times I was fortunate enough to walk her home after ditching Leota and Wanda. The conversation became more personal and intimate. The only winter that we went together, I met Leota, Wanda, and her at the ice skating ring, and go for hot chocolate at Diffity's Dairy. Irene was a beautiful, delightful person, but single-minded in her objectives. She would become an administrative nurse at a large hospital in another state. What's the minutes?
1:36.
I never saw her again in school that particular year. Oda and I dated several times after I returned from the service, but that gradually evolved into a slow disintegration. Wanda and I never dated, but I saw her several times much later in life. She was happily married with 2 children and a loving husband. It was during that period I was in vocational school and employed at the department store that I became acquainted with Jessie. Jessie was a nice girl, slender build, and blue eyes with long, flowing blonde hair. She always dressed immaculately from the tip of her exotic toes to the top of her coiffured hair. She worked at a hardware department store, and was a general rule she could never find what she wanted in the stock room. I was only too happy to assist her in finding the stainless steel pan or knives or a million other items that were stored and sold in the department store.
All right. Now we're gonna
Take a break.
take a break.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
What?
We have to put a new tape in. So
Okay.